welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Today we're super excited because there's a new Ultra New release. It's the November release, and you'll be wanting to check out the blog post that's linked under this video if you're watching this on YouTube, because there are giveaways and there's a blog hub. There's lots of opportunities to win, tons of inspiration, so go check all of those things out after this. Also, of course, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring the bell, and give us a thumbs up. Now, I have two super quick and easy Christmas cards for you, so whether you're looking to make in bulk, you're looking for last minute ideas, you can use these ideas. And of course, any of the techniques I show you are adaptable to any card. That's one thing I love about showing you these techniques, is you can, adapt these any time of year, any techniques. They're not just for Christmas. So I wanted to show you a couple of the things they sent me. There's more in the release, so as I say, go check out the hops, you can see everything. But this is the Across the Pond stamp set, which of course I'm loving because it has humor and favorite, and there's color in here, and all the kind of words that as Brits we spell with a O-U-R, Americans spell with an O-R. So I think it's really, really nice that they're doing this British spelling version of the stamp set. Loving this stamp set. Okay, so I had to show you that. They also sent me this handwritten hello die, which is a two-piece die. You can see there's one that's slightly thicker, one that's thinner. So you can use either of them individually or you can use them together. Again, lots and lots of different options. But I want to show you the Plentiful Pines and the Small Moments. So Small Moments is this gorgeous little snowflake. And then Plentiful Pines is a layering stamp set. So let's get them both out. Excuse me. So Plentiful Pines has one of the larger inserts. If you haven't seen these before, I rave about these a lot. You can see here lots of options for different cards and some card fronts you can just mount up. And these fit in the larger pockets, which is how I store mine, because I really like to keep these. I like the inspiration. I like the color ideas. If you have a layering stamp, it shows you all the different layers and things on there too. So it has two different trees in our Plentiful Pines, and there is a coordinating die if you want to pop elements out. And then we have the Small Moments, which is this lovely little snowflake here. Again, you do get a little layering combination here. You can see this gorgeous snowflake they created on the back by doing like mirroring. I guess you could do it with the Gina K Wreath Builder possibly in that kind of way. And it does give you the color combinations. And then there's the coordinating die. So I have everything prepped. I have two card fronts, but the first one I want to show you uses embossing ink, and we're just going to need an acrylic block. So let's peel this off. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of prep first. So I'm going to need my craft spoon, and I have two of the Ultra New embossing powders here. So I have Translucent Pearl and Caribbean Sky, and I'm going to create my own custom mix. Now, you don't actually use much embossing powder when you're embossing. It always feels like a lot, but it's really not. So I'm kind of going to put a spoon and a half, and then I'm going to put maybe 3/4 of a spoon of Translucent Pearl in there, because what I essentially want to do is create my own mix of shimmering blue. And never be afraid to combine embossing powders. You can keep them in those little sauce pots, the ones you get at Five Guys. If you ask the Five Guys manager nicely, I'm sure he'll give you some. He always does for me. And so this is the embossing powder mix we are going to use. So it's going to create that blue with some extra glitter and translucence in it, which is exactly what I want. So I'm just going to take my snowflake stamp, and I'm going to take my clean side of my cardstock. And of course it's a little bit harder because it's clear ink. This is the Ultra New embossing ink that I've got here. But again, you could use a Misty or, a Wreath Builder or something if you wanted to. But I'm just stamping out a random pattern. Really easy on myself. And now I'm going to pour my custom mix over the top. And if I need to mix more, I can. I know roughly what my amounts were. And I'm just going to pour it different ways. So it just takes slightly longer to get everything over all the different corners, because of course you haven't got as much powder as a whole pot. But you can see it's pretty easy to do. And then I'll do my next snowflake here. And I might kind of douse, I guess, or cover each snowflake twice. just to make sure it's picked up the optimal amount of the embossing powder. But this is only a background. You know, we're going to put a sentiment on top. You could put a super bold sentiment on top of this. We're going to put one of these lovely fine ones on from probably Plentiful Pine is my plan, but I'm just going to see how it comes out first of all. But you can see already how I've got some areas that are solid blue. I've already got that glitter in there. So I don't have to buy a million different colors of embossing powder. I can just create my own or add glitter to ones I already have by adding in that translucent pearl. So I'm just going to grab this over and we're going to melt this in. Really, really easy. Just love this technique. It's so simple. And then I'm going to share with you my favorite tips for layering stamps as well. So I'm just going to heat set this. And again, I've got all of those variations that you would get in a natural snowflake too. So you can do rainbow colors, you can do adding glitter, you could do this and then use it like a resist. Of course, I could blend ink over the top of it. You know, lots and lots of different things you can do as well. But just a fun way to stretch your supplies even further. And I'm just making sure I've captured everything. But it really does look frosted now that I can see it dry, or melted I should say, I guess is the term. And I'm really loving this variegation too. So just check that you've got everything. I'll pop you down there. I think we're good. There we are. So that is literally it. I already have my card base here. This is going to be my piece. You can see it's just a white card base. And then I have a piece of black velvet, which we'll link up for you. I'm just taking some embossing powder off the back here. And the card, the black is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. My white piece was cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Always do the same layers. It just makes my life so much easier. I go down 1/4 inch at a time. I have done a card making class that's all about layering in 8.5 by 11 and it's layering in A4. There's a download in there too. So I'll add links in the description, of course, and we'll add them in the blog post too, which you're going to go check out. I know you are, because you're going to want to win some amazing Altenew goodies. Okay, so I'm just going to, another tip for you, if you want to keep your sentiment straight, particularly something fine like this, just pop it on your surface, pick it up with your acrylic block, and that will keep it straight. Sometimes if you try to put them yourself on an acrylic block, they can warp a little bit. It's really not what you want. So this is just an offcut I had from trimming down my white pieces, and I'm actually going to have my Y, it looks like, just go off the bottom slightly, unless, no, this is going to have to be like this, or I might grab another piece. I'm going to see how it comes out and then I'm going to make my decision. But otherwise it's going to be a rather large sentiment, so I think I kind of like how that comes across on there. And the other thing you could do, of course, is if you were using a MISTI, is you could stamp it so that you had your little tail, or you could do your curly Q yourself with something underneath there too. I'm just going to snip this with my scissors because I'm feeling reckless. And I'm going to grab some foam tape. There's some right here. Again, really, really simple. Let's try this end. Yep. I don't know about you, I always just find that one end of my foam is far more open to these things. And I'm going to line the edge of my sentiment up with this edge of my card. Sometimes for me that just makes it so much easier than worrying about placement. But look at that variegation in that snowflake. Again, just love that technique and I wanted to share it with you. Now the other technique we're going to do is just an easy layered card. So you may have seen me do this with builder flowers and things. But there's so many different options you have here. So let's pop that on there. I'm also going to grab myself just a scrap piece of cardstock from here, like this. And I want to show you that you don't need a ton of different colors and things to do cards. So I'm going to go with one of my darkest shades. And I'm going to go with a mid shade. So we're just going to use 2 inks. Again, you could just kind of vary depending on what you're up to. So we're going to go with this Shadow Creek. And I can get 3 shades out of one colour. Now, it's great because Ultinews inks all come in cubes and you can buy them in, you know, different packs together and things. But sometimes you don't have that. Maybe you have a favourite green and you'd love to be able to use it in layering. So what we're going to do is going to stamp off once, we're going to stamp off again, and then what's in the background, and I'm going to stamp off the edge here slightly, that's my base, okay? And the other great thing is because I'm going to do this a couple of times, you're going to see that the bases of my trees are all going to be slightly different colours too, which is kind of nice. I'm going to ink this one up twice. This is a newer stamp, I haven't conditioned it, so I'm just, again, I'm just doing this. There's a little bit of thread from an ink pad on there. But we're going to cover it up with layers. So we're just going to have 3 trees across our card like that. So you can see how this is starting out. We're going to leave the same ink pad out, and then we're going to our next layer. Okay. So next layer, I'm going to ink up. Anything more than 3, you kind of don't have much ink left on there, but just stamp it off once. And now we're going to stamp on our tree. Next layer. Okay. Ink up, stamp. And you could be creating some kind of arrangement with your stamp offs too if you wanted to. I mean, there's no reason, you know, you couldn't be doing that. I'm just putting it onto a scrap piece because it happens to work. Stamp off, stamp on. So you see I already have variegation and I'm still on ink cube number 1. So, you know, we're really doing well here. Okay, now we're going to go to our next layer and we're going to ink up, and we're not going to do any stamp off. So we're just going in with that full colour. I'm going to ink this up a bit more. Again, really cool. And our next little bushel. And our next little bushel. Okay, so far we have all of that depth and dimension in our tree from 1 ink cube, which I think is pretty amazing. Now, what you can do is you could take the same colour and stamp your last one in and just stamp your extra details twice. That works if you have a Misty. Or you could go for a darker shade, or black works really well too. You might want to stamp off with your black. It's entirely up to you. But this is another shade, so you can go in with that. That one looked a little bit light. I'm not sure that that's got the right lid on it. Let me have a look if it's maybe... See, this is the other great thing about layering stamps. You make a mistake and it doesn't show up. So that one looks a little bit better in there. You can also, as I say, you could go in with a jet black. And what I might do is just do a little bit of a stamp off and then go in with those details. You see how that looks a little bit different. And then I'm going to do my third one, which I think this was jet black again. Yes. Let's put a lid on this and I'll sort my colours out. What you can do is do the jet black, or you could just go in, you know, and have the harsh details. So you can see there a couple of different variations. So I've got some green details, I got stamped off, and if I wanted to, I could go and add a little bit more. So you can keep kind of playing with how you add those details in different ways. And then what I would probably do is ground it. I would grab myself a little kind of blending tool. I'd ground that out just and add some little cool details. Or I might take an alcohol marker. I don't think I have any here to hand, but I'd just take one and kind of do a little bit of shading down here, but also something like maybe iceberg is a good one. Another great thing about having a test piece here. And we can grab ourselves an ink dauber, which I'm going to grab from down here, a little foamy. Okay. Now there is also some advantages to blending on a mat like this too. And I'm just going to load up my little foamy first. Looks good. So I just want this to look like icicles. I'm actually going to start in my layered stamp. And you see how I'm just starting in my stamp first, and then I'm blending out. But what it does is it's given you that illusion already that they're actually sitting on something rather than just floating in midair. So do you see the difference that that made? Just having that little bit in there. And then you could do the same by having maybe a little bit of glow in the background here. I think this citrus burst would look nice. It's a bit yellowy. Let's try Sunray. I think it's a great thing again about having that there. A little bit of scrap paper. So I'm just going to pick up some colour. I like that. Again, I'm going to start on my green, and then I'm just going to blend it out because I want it to look like it's actually coming between. And of course, yellow and green, they're not muddy colours. They're not going to create any issues. So I'm going to start in here. And actually, it just fills in a nice little bit of my tree too. There's an Altenew stamping mat. If I haven't tried that yet, I do have one to try. I just haven't had time yet. And of course, now we have other versions of the Tim Holtz mat, which is my preference. We have a travel version in both righty and lefty format. And what I find is I get less drag by blending on my glass mat. So I just don't get such, you know, kind of harshness, which I really like. But this gives it a really nice little glow. Look at that lovely glow in the background there. Love how that comes out just with some foamies. And if you're a lefty, there's a lefty mat too. I am a lefty, I just haven't got my lefty mat out yet. Okay, so that was really, really easy. Last thing this card needs is a sentiment. So again, let's just do Happy Holidays again because it happens to be here. And we need our jet black. And my tip is I always eyeball first. If that doesn't work, then I grab a piece of cardstock and put it over the top. And it needs a little bit more ink by the looks of this. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to Happy Holidays it down here, as you can see. And that came out perfectly. I mean, just looks awesome. And again, you know, we've been going less than 20 minutes, about 15-ish minutes. And we've already created nearly 2 cards. Really easy techniques I'm showing you. And you can adapt these to builder flowers. You can adapt that embossing powder to any kind of powder. You know, you can do that on any stamp. So again, I already have my card base ready and made up. And I'm going to show you one more tip just for adding tipped snow. That's kind of the words I'm looking for. I'm going to take this over here just because of the yellow. So I'm just adding this on top. Do you see how gorgeous is this? Love it. And I'm going to just take a little bit of Nuvo drops, but rather than adding, you know how we were always so used to just doing a Nuvo drop? I mean, you can also add swishes. So I could take my trees here, and I could add like a little bit of a swish, like this, like this. You see how that makes it look snow-tipped, because I'm just dragging. That's kind of cool. And it gives it a little bit more texture. And what I'm doing is I'm picking out those dark areas, and I'm just kind of adding those snow tips. It's cute. But what I really like to do, and you can see there, I mean that's really pretty. But something else you can do is you can pop some, you know, like little squiggles down. And now all of a sudden it looks like I really have a 3D kind of snowy background. See, we're adding details really easily. But what I like to do is I just kind of dab my finger. I'm going to take a different finger because what you might find is that the Nuvo drops do have water in them, and they might make your dyes run slightly. So different colours, I just do a different finger. But Look at that. Now I actually have a little bit of that raised texture, but I also have lots of shimmer. So where you've put the Nuvo drops, it'll be thicker, but where you've kind of dabbed it out with your finger, you'll just kind of get some extra texture to it. And I feel that that looks far more realistic. So 2 super quick and simple Christmas cards with techniques you can use the whole year round. I hope you enjoyed them. Go check out the blog, hop, go hit subscribe, all of those fun things. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye.